Hi, my name is Kristen. I'm the author of the book Five Lines of Code, and you're listening to the Agile Uprising podcast.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Agile Uprising podcast. I'm your host, Jay Hersko. Joining me once again, I have my frequent collaborators and partners in crime, Mr. Andrew Leff.
Howdy, howdy.
And Ms. Janelle Lanza.
Howdy also.
Thank you both for joining me on this wonderfully exciting Tuesday evening. Wonderful weather we're having here. Wonderful weather. Leff is in Texas with snow, and Janelle, God knows where it is. It's got to be nicer than where she is, where we are here in New Jersey. So, the topic for this week's episode is we're doing another increment in the Should I Take This series. This is where we talk about courses that we have taken in the Agile and Agile adjacent sphere, and we give you a little bit of honest feedback about should you really take the time and the money, spend the money to sit in on this class. And for the class this evening, we are talking about Pro Kanban 1, which I believe is offered by the organization is Pro Kanban. Yes, correct? Yes.
Correct.
Which, if listeners will remember, our former board member Colleen Johnson is the CEO of Pro Kanban. She's working with Dan Vacanti, and this is their unique take on the Kanban space. So first off, I'm going to start with you, Janelle. And this is a typical question to ask. So obviously, it's a Kanban course. How familiar were you with Kanban conceptually before you even took the course?
I was fairly familiar with it. And with that, the coaching engagements I've had recently were not using a true Kanban system. So it was a great, it had interest for me because of that. Like, yes, I've done this. I think I know this, but when have I last done this other than personally having my own board?
Okay. So it's more of for you, it was more of can I get some official background into what I kind of know and do? Just give me some more rigor and theory?
I think there's some rigor. And I also think, without going too deep into this in the introductions, I saw 2021 as this year where I was getting more than one certification. It was just a year of trying to fulfill some of the things for my personal vision. And this was just one of those things where it's not like I had a personal vision for Kanban, but for continuous learning. And this was just, it seemed like this makes sense. I haven't done this in a while. Better try it out.
Okay, cool. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, so I have experience, but I kind of like taking the certification route after I have some applicable knowledge or working knowledge to see how far off I am. So it's kind of a sanity check for me. And I also, I haven't seen, and maybe it's just due to the industries I've worked in, like Kanban actually executed in the way that Kanban is supposed to be, right? I've seen the visualization of the tooling around Kanban, but not a team that actually does Kanban in a way that I just learned and re-educated myself the correct way to do things. So I really wanted to round out my coaching effort to say, I feel like I've done enough Kanban, but I really wanted to learn the fundamentals and also be able to, working with having a lot of Scrum leads, or AKA Scrum Masters, we call them Scrum leads at my company, to get myself exposed to the course, because I really want to pull them into having this track to also go down to round them out when they're coaching their Scrum teams.
What you said makes me think of that old quote, theory without practice is useless. Practice without theory is expensive. And it's and it sounds to me like both of you were kind of practicing, but you wanted to back into more of the in the book, in the perfect world, right? Why don't you just tell me how I'm supposed to do my Kanban board? So it's a very interesting take on it. So you both took this class virtually, and our very own James Gifford, aka Scrumando, taught it. What was your feedback and thoughts specifically around the virtual aspect of the class? Do you think it worked well virtually? Do you think it would have benefited better if it had been in person? I mean, what are your thoughts? Either one of you.
I'll jump in. or
Yeah.
Janelle, you could jump. I'll just my opinion.
No, you go.
Yeah, okay, I'm going. Um, I just my preference is always in person, especially doing these types of trainings. I don't think the virtual experience was bad. I like the use of Miro. I'm a fan of that as the collaboration tool. I think that the trainers have everything set up so it felt organized, but I do think a small class like this is best done in person, in my opinion. So I feel like, yes, did I get the value out of it? Yes. Would I have preferred it in person? Absolutely.
What are your thoughts, Janelle?
Yeah, that was very well said, Andrew. I think the facilitator can really make or break it. We all have heard that before. And in this case, it was the same thing. We had a great facilitator. So being virtual was not first choice, but it was also very good. And
Okay.
the other thing, this is relevant to this answer right now and to what you asked us before is I like Kanban. So doing a class, even if it's not in person, but it's a topic I like and have energy and interest for, it was okay being virtual. And it was definitely worth my interest in spending the time virtual. So it was
Okay. So you had a vested interest walking in. This was something you were intrigued and passionate about. So you were going to get some mileage out of it anyway. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think just a +1 on that. I think that's a great point. I think that engagement and just interest, because I also was very interested in the topic and getting deeper knowledge in it. So I also came with a bit of energy. Now, Janelle and I took this class. It was over the weekend, right? So we dedicated 2 days and early starts, and they're long days virtually, especially after a long week of work. So I do think that energy going into it unlike some of our other certification trainings that can be very dry and mundane, there was a lot more interaction virtually with some of the activities, as well as it wasn't just slideware.
Which leads perfectly segueing into my next question is, what were your thoughts on the course material? I've been hosting these episodes for quite a bit. This is one of the rare courses where I haven't taken it. I did, however, last year, much like, Janelle said she was on her journey. I was on the same thing. It's like, well, I'm kind of locked in the damn house. I might as well get some certs and see what happens. And I took both pieces of the Kanban, practitioner course, KSP, KMP, KLF, KMFDM, whatever it is. And I will tell you that my interpretation of that course, it was very, very dry. So tell me about this courseware. Like, what were you said that it was Miro was the backbone. Talk to us about and I'll start with you, Janelle. Like, what were some of the things that were you intrigued by? What did you pick up anything new? Like, what was your feeling on the actual course and how it was presented, like the materials?
Yeah, I think the materials were solid. I have to say there was one memorable part of the course, other than being in a virtual class with some other cats that I knew. So that was fun and just intriguing that way. It's like you said, even though it was a weekend or whatever, I knew these people, and that made it a little more energizing. There's a specific part of the course, and I think you probably say this is application, where we were making decisions with actual work. And I say actual, but fabricated, but actual work, and seeing the data change as we made decisions with it. And so that was memorable and interactive. We also gave some feedback on how to make that better. But ask, 4 coaches, you're going to get 4 different answers on how to make something better. And so that's a tough crowd. So I do give a lot of credit to ourselves for sticking with it and not going off the rails, and our facilitator.
Well, I do think it speaks wonders to the fact that you both took this course on a weekend and you're both walking away saying, yeah, it was a weekend well spent, which is, that's the best compliment you could pay going forward. Lef, what were your thoughts on the coursework and all that?
Yeah, I would agree. I think and maybe it was just also, so disclaimer, like Jane or Gifford was he was also, I think we might have been his first or second go round with facilitating this. So I think he was still getting his legs under him as well. But I feel like the content really was more exercise driven and not, hey, I'm reading to you. As well as the simulator, and I was just looking for it. I forget what it was called, but yeah, for the life of me, I can't put it in my head, but we'll put it in the notes if I can remember it. But that was really good. So I'm using that simulator with some of my teams now to create some visualization around how to look at throughput and how to make decisions based upon WIP and really, load and looking at, when you make decisions, how does that impact the flow of your work, and really looking at flow. Like, this kind of sparked something in my head that I've been, that's been buzzing around estimation complicates newer teams in a way that creates a bit of friction and angst. So if we can take teams through a Kanban experience and look at flow and throughput, maybe we can diffuse some of the estimation bomb that is created when teams are like, I want to do hours, and I want to look at days, and I want to convert points into hours and all this other stuff. So, we lost Jay, but we'll edit that out. But I think that was part of my experience with the tooling. So I think, Janelle, I think we're probably saying the same thing in that regard.
Yeah. And I think we had other parts to that. That's just the most memorable as far as podcast worthy things. And I like what you were saying, Andrew, about, face it, we have a choice in certifications, and some of them we feel like we don't have a choice as a consultant, where you have to have knowledge and certifications in what the market is interested in or demanding. And it's definitely a different experience when you're doing something that is not only interesting and usable, it was also kind of fun. Didn't feel so forced. And I don't know, that makes a difference with learning, that doesn't matter what you do for a living. No one wants to be forced into anything.
That is true. That is true. And I like kind of being more well-rounded in the way that we approach, whether it's visualizing the work in flight, even just creating prioritization, right? Like, how do we start supporting the teams to visualize things differently without all the exterior complications that, that gets noisy. So it's definitely it definitely could be interesting. So I did appreciate that point of view from taking the course, and it's given me some more tooling in my toolkit to help coach that perspective of things.
Well, our host has said that his cat rebooted his machine. So maybe
I'm seeing that now.
Comment before about the Sjogren's cat was a little too loud.
Yeah, it's a quantum flirt. The universe is flirting with them. It's teaching them a lesson.
So experiment. I'm not going.
So while Jay is rebooting, I'm curious, right? We'll keep it rolling. I can kind of assume some of the hosting role, but have you used any of the knowledge, maybe something that you took away from the class that you hadn't used before or had learned that you wanted to try in any of your current engagements, or you want to start using going forward that you haven't, or you're eager to try?
There wasn't anything new, not like I knew it all. So please don't, hear it that way. But that flow is a big part of what I'm applying at work right now. And I know that's probably kind of a vanilla answer, because it's like, what isn't flow? But that's the thing, people forget about it, or it's a conversation that swirls around. And when you bring it back to either customer value or flow, you usually get some grounding there. So I'm enjoying just having that refreshed perspective on it. How about you,
Yeah.
Andrew?
Yeah, so I think for me, it was more of educating the people that I'm working with on what I learned and using, like I said, I'm trying to use that simulator as a teaching tool. So I've really kind of I started promoting that, saying, hey, let's run through some simulations. Let's use this as at least a starting point for people to see how flow can work when they make different decisions. So I've been doing that. And, I'm trying not to be dogmatic and also coach people with around the process of saying, just because you have a board with, kind of, let's just say not started and done, doesn't mean you're running Kanban, right? Like, let's not confuse the issue. Let's try and learn the concept and then use some of these words of wisdom and nuggets to educate ourselves on how to run things a little bit differently. And if we're going to be hybrid and do Scrumban or whatever it is, let's be honest about it.
I think what you inspire me with this is, with what you just said, is Kanban's not what you do when you can't do Scrum. That's once in a while, there's a case where Scrum wasn't the right fit. And we've learned over time that Kanban, this class gives you, not you personally, but gives a person the whole knowledge to be able to, not all the knowledge, but the whole knowledge to be able to answer that question or to ask that question of your group, your client, whatever it is, your coworkers, so that Kanban isn't this thing that's like a default when things aren't going well.
Yeah, and I think too, it's helped. So you just sparked something in me with the sense of, it also has helped me have the conversation when it becomes Kanban versus Scrum, right? Like that kind of friction. I'm like, it doesn't have to be one or the other. It doesn't have to be one is better than the other versus it's really, what are you trying to do and which framework supports that opportunity or supports the value in how you're trying to work. And, you could do both, right? It just is a matter of what aligns more so to the value of the work you're trying to deliver. And some things just lend itself, in my opinion, better to a Kanban approach, and some things lend itself better to a Scrum approach. So I think that this has helped me really understand some of the differences when approaching, teams and ways they work.
So I would definitely recommend it.
Yes.
Taking it. And whether you're a seasoned veteran, like the two of us are, in our own different vast experiences, or you're new to being an agilist or business agility, it doesn't even have to be Scrum or Agile, but if you're looking to improve resilience and maybe even just agility with teams, Kanban, this thinking that's in here is very helpful for that.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely endorse this as anybody that wants to deepen their knowledge in different ways to work. It doesn't matter what the industry. I think Kanban, listen, I use Kanban systems in my house to manage tasks, right? So I do believe in the method and the framework and the approach. So I am also a big advocate and found a lot of value in the training, even though I use the concept on a daily basis in my own personal life. So I think that anybody benefits from this that is looking for, to add more tooling to their toolkit.
Back in, gosh, I don't know, it had to be somewhere between 2013 and 2015, I was an employee coach within an Agile transformation that also had a budding scaled Agile framework instance. And we had a personal Kanban class. We had Jim Benson come to our company.
Oh, wow.
And I took this class with like 25 other people as a coach. And I'm not trying to endorse them, but I am trying to say that personal Kanban is no joke. And there's, I think that kind of rounds out the human side of the science and the mental focus that Kanban can bring and encourage in the future. It was so fun.
I love that in the sense of, also, eat our own dog food, drink our own Agile champagne, whatever metaphor or statement we want to say. I found it extremely impactful with my kids, right? Like, here's the things that are not started. Here's you can only take on 2 things in progress at once. And, you have to get all this stuff done during the week. These are your chores for the week. So manage your time wisely, right? And it gives the visibility for the whole household, not to be in this state of, did you do your chores? Did you do this? I don't need to ask, right? I can look on the board every day. Everybody, we have our little huddle. It sounds silly, but it really has taught responsibility differently than I was taught, right? With a hammer or a belt or a bat or a shoe, like after the fact. So I think that this has been a super great learning experience for me and my household, even though my kids find it annoying. I hope someday they look back on this and think, wow, that was an interesting learning experience. And I feel a lot more organized throughout my week because I've had that experience. But
yes. Oh, I was meeting with Tony Ann DeMaria. She's partners with Jim Benson at Personal Kanban. This was just a couple of years ago. I was meeting with her in Seattle just because I was in her city. And I was telling her, like, oh, my youngest child, she'll do it, but she really doesn't like it and all that. And Tony Ann had a really good point. She's like, well, did you make the board or did she make the board? I was like, oh, I'm a coach. I know better than that. I made the board. And it goes back to that whole thing of ownership but it's like, but she wouldn't have done it. It's like, well, then it wasn't at the right time. Oh,
yeah, no, I love that. That's a good reflective point. That's good. So I think we're Jay, he pinged me. So his cat has definitely shut his workstation down. So he will not be rejoining us. So I think Janelle and I are both endorsing this experience. We hope that this sparks some curiosity. If anybody needs any additional information, you can certainly reach out to Colleen Johnson or, go out to the Pro Kanban site or, look for the trainings. We'll share all the links and information in the show notes. Janelle, thank you for hopping on a Tuesday evening and chatting with us.
Thank you, Andrew.
And we hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please provide us our feedback. You can reach out to us on our Discord channel, Agile Uprising, as well as, if anybody wants to help us support us, we have a Patreon account that, you're more than welcome. We are always looking for, I don't want to say donations, but participation. So we're really proud of the community we've built and we continue to grow as a community, and we're excited to continue that effort, and all the support and love and help we greatly appreciate. So I will say farewell, good night, and thanks Janelle again. And we'll thank Jay when his computer decides to come back online after his cat has destroyed his evening. So thanks again, Janelle, and have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.